So this is IBDP chemistry part of the biofuels, that is reactivity 1.3.4. Now, what exactly are biofuels and what are the need for it? To understand the biofuels concept, we have to go to the process, the point of sustainability. When we talk about sustainability, what do you mean by sustainability exactly? And what
Correct.
exactly is it? Now, when you speak about sustainability, sustainability is the steps we take today so that the future generation does not get affected. We know that
Yeah.
the all the population is increasing day by day. It's increasing day by day. That needs what? That needs more cars on the road to travel, more buses on the road, more aircrafts on the road, more trains on the road, isn't it? Right. So these are very important, right? And yes, we need more cooking gas, right? We need more cooking gas for them to cook. So this is very important that when we talk about this particular biofuels, what are biofuels? This all these fossil fuels are used for the transportation, right? We use petrol, we use diesel, we use aviation fuel. These comes under crude oil. Now electricity also is needed to heat up the homes, right? And our lighting needs and all. So for the electricity, most of the electricity till now is coming from the coal. We use coal burning to get it, right. So this is very important that these are non-renewable resources. They're fixed
So
resources.
biofuels are
Yeah,
non-renewable.
yeah, yeah. So they are fixed resources, right? So this is very important that these are fixed resources. So how can we save this for the future generation? That's the thing we have to understand. How to save them. Now to save them for the future generation, we have to go for the alternative method with alternative fuel. There are many alternative fuels we are going into, right? Suppose we are going to the solar power, right? We are generating the hydroelectric projects. We are using the tidal power, right? These will be not able to replace totally the amount of the energy which is given by by this all this all this diesel, petrol, and the coal we are using. Now, this is very important that if we see that can we replace them, and can we try to replace them? Yes. So we use biofuels. In this biofuels portions, we have to also learn that if you see that biofuels are renewable sources, right? Resources. Now, what exactly is a biofuel? The best example is what? The best example is that we are seeing that in the plant. In the plant, what happens? In the plant, the carbon dioxide which is released, that is trapped in the leaves. The carbon dioxide is released, that is trapped in the leaves. And we get what? We get glucose plus oxygen. So this is very important that when we
Mhm.
see the carbon dioxide fixation, right? So this is what this carbon dioxide is fixed by the leaves. We get glucose. Now, this glucose can be stored in many forms, right? It can be stored in the form of potatoes, it can be formed in the stored of rice, it can be stored in the form of corn. So many ways this particular can be stored in. Now, if we see that, can we use a process called as a fermentation? In this fermentation, we do what? In this process of fermentation, we take glucose, right? We take glucose, and we do what? We ferment it. In the fermentation process, what we take the glucose, any glucose source you can take. We can take potato, we can take rice, we can take corn. And nowadays the recent technology has so much improved that we can take plants also. Plants contains that cellulose. I mean, ultimately they are having a polymer change of the glucose. The glucose change are in the polymer, in the starch, right? In the potato, in the rice, they are not in the single glucose form, but they are in a chain form like this, right? They're in a chain form.
Yeah.
Now this is very important that whenever we are seeing that we are taking fermentation process. In this fermentation process, it's very important to know that what exactly is this process. So in the fermentation process, what we do exactly? In the fermentation process, we take a glucose source, and from the glucose source, what do we do? We put it into vats. We put the glucose source into the vats,
Mhm.
and we add yeast to it. What is yeast? Yeast are biological catalyst. This speeds up the rate of the reaction without getting used up. A biological catalyst. Catalyst can be of two types. Catalyst can be chemical catalyst, such as iron, which is used in the Haber's process. Catalyst can be biological process also, right? So there are lots of biological catalysts in our digestive system, right? Starting from mouth. So this speeds up the rate of the reaction without getting used up in the reaction. So what we take a glucose source, and after that we are putting a yeast inside it, right? Now after that we are doing what? After that we are trying to do a anaerobic process. We seal this top of it, and we are getting what? We are getting ethanol plus carbon dioxide. This ethanol is a very good replacement of the petrol which we are using, right? Isn't it? And all countries nowadays, all countries, they are mixing 30% ethanol with the petrol we are using. So in that way, what we are doing, in that way we are saving the petrol for the future generation, isn't it? We are saving the fuel for, right, for the future generation. So this is a very important portion we have to learn, that whenever we are seeing this ethanol is a very important biofuel we are getting. Now the both sides of the coin you have to see, that the ethanol is to grow this ethanol, we are doing what? To make sure that we are getting ethanol, we have to take this glucose and do this part of fermentation process. But there's a drawback in that process. The drawback in the process is that only 15% will be converted, isn't it, to ethanol. Means if you're taking 100 grams of the this glucose, you're getting 15 grams of the ethanol. So this is a very important point we have to master, that whenever we are seeing this particular this yield, the yield is very less, very less, right? So we
Yeah.
have to take in more amount of plants, more amount of this glucose source. Now that requires what? That requires that we go more amount of plants, because the percentage yield is very less, 15%. So that also helps, right? That also helps. See, now you might be thinking that if you take this, if you take the ethanol, if you take petrol, petrol will be combusted to give you carbon dioxide, water plus energy. Now this carbon dioxide is getting emitted. In the earlier video we saw that it is a greenhouse gas. So that really increases the greenhouse gases. Even if you take this ethanol and go for the combustion reaction, all organic compounds we discussed give us carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. So here also carbon dioxide is emitting. So how is our mother earth saved? Taking petrol also releases carbon dioxide, taking alcohol also releases per carbon dioxide. But here's the very important trick you have to understand, that this 15% yield which has been given, to attain this 15% yield, what exactly you have to do? To attain the 15% yield, you have to take what? We have to take lots of glucose sources. So increase the production of this ethanol by this fermentation process. More amount of glucose has to be done, and glucose comes from where? Plants. Fine. Plants.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it clear to you? We have to grow more plants, isn't it? We have to grow more plants, right? More plants, right? Is it clear to you? Right? More plants. More plants you have to grow. That will be doing what? This, if you grow more amount of plants, that will be doing a very important part, that will be absorbing more amount of carbon dioxide. Did you get my point? If you want to make
Yeah.
15 grams of this ethanol, you have to take 100 grams of this glucose source. So in order to
Mm-hmm.
get more amount of ethanol, what we do? We have to plot more amount of plants, and plants will be absorbing the carbon dioxide more. Is it clear? So it's a indirect benefit we are getting, right? To use this
Mm-hmm.
biofuel. Did you get my point over here? Carbon dioxide has to be
Yeah.
will be released. So we are forced to grow more plants, and that's the trick. Thus we'll be seeing that more amount of carbon dioxide will be also absorbed. Now moving to this part, we know that if you see, when we talk about when we talk about this, when you talk about this fossil fuels, right? This fossil fuels can be now replaced, right? So this is a very important finding we are getting. So biofuels are what? Biofuels are extremely helpful for us, because it will be saving our much needed sustainability approach for the crude oil, which we are using, right, for our transportation. Now there's a both sides of the coin which you're having. See, the world is having many people who sleep hungry, who sleep empty stomach, they don't get the food. So there are two debates which is
Mm-hmm.
running. Let's see, cars, buses, aircrafts, they are luxury, right? They comes in under luxury life in the chemistry per vocabulary. So there are two sides of the coin. So shall we grow the food and convert it to ethanol to drive buses, cars, trucks, and our many people who sleep hungry, that also the
Mm-hmm.
food will be diverted. So we have to now know that there are the disadvantage, advantage of these biofuels. See, example, Brazil. Brazil uses 100% ethanol in their cars, 100% ethanol. But see, they're using the ethanol by converting from sugarcane, isn't it? So there are many people
Yeah.
who sleep hungry. So there are two sides of the coin we have to understand. So the demands that we have to know the disadvantages and the advantages of these biofuels. The first advantage is that it is a renewable source, isn't it? Plants you grow, you cut the plants, you grow more plants. It's a renewable source. Now,
Yeah.
if you see that particular disadvantage, as I've discussed you, it will be using the agricultural land. We have to divert the agricultural land into what? Into using to make the crops. The crops will be then fermented to give you the ethanol, right? Now, these advantages I already have discussed with you. Reduce greenhouse gases. See, this vocabulary is something misleading, right? That does ethanol gives you lower amount of carbon dioxide? No, it's not like that. Isn't it? Any
Yeah.
hydrocarbon which you see, any hydrocarbon which you actually combust will be giving you carbon dioxide, water plus energy. Is it clear to you?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the catch is what? In order to grow the plants, 15% conversion, we have to grow more plants. This is the trick you have to understand. We have to grow more and more plants. So that will be absorbing the carbon dioxide which is being released. Same amount of carbon dioxide almost, which is released by petrol. Do you get my point? What does reduced greenhouse gases means? So this is very important, that reduced greenhouse gases. Now, this particular disadvantage we already discussed, which is linked with this, the diversion of the food production. There are many people who sleep hungry. There are many people who are sleep hungry. They die also due to hunger. So that's a two pronged particular debate which is there. Advantages number three is what? Sustainable resource. Sustainability is a very important portion where to master that we can save the petrol. All governments across the globe, they are using 30% ethanol blended with the petrol. Isn't it? That also helps. There are many countries which are not blessed with the petrol reserves, right? They don't have petrol reserve, they have to import petrol, isn't it? But yes, ethanol they can very well do this ethanol. See, Brazil does not have any petrol reserves, right? It does not have any petrol wells or diesel wells. See, it is not depending
Yeah.
upon other countries, because you might be knowing that whole economy. This is very important. This is very important. Whole economy of the world is rested where? Rested with the oil, price of the oil,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? And this price of the oil is there in the handful of the countries who command the economy. Is it clear? So can we break the shackles so that we are not trapped into the oil producing countries who command the particular economy growth? Is it clear? Because the price of the oil, if it increases, right, the all the prices of the foods increases, isn't it? So economic security,
Yeah.
right? Isn't it very important?
Yeah.
Economic security, which will be reducing the imported oil supplies. Is it clear? Now, this point already I've discussed with you. Now, recent, due to the amazing technology which has increased, we can use wide range of plants. Waste can be also used to bioproduction, right? Is it clear? So this is very important, that this plant growth, we can use we can grow any plants, but the plants will be helpful because it will be absorbing more amount of carbon dioxide, right? But yes,
Mm-hmm.
we have to understand that if the biofuels demand increases, right, we have to grow more amount of trees and deforestation. Yeah, but this point is just to kept over in the disadvantage, but this does not make sense actually, because it's a sustainable resource. Trees are sustainable resource, right? If you cut the trees, you can grow more. So this was what, this was very important part we have to discuss that. And finally, the disadvantages. This is very important. Now, coming back to that part, we discussed what we discussed over here, that this is a mixture we are getting, right? We're getting a mixture over here, right? We're getting a mixture
Yeah.
of glucose, ethanol, and carbon dioxide. Why? Because 15% yield is obtained. This is very important. 15% yield, right, is obtained, right? So this is important, that there's a mixture. In the reaction mixture, you have got ethanol mixed with glucose, unreacted glucose, and carbon dioxide. So we have to go for a what? We have to go for fractional distillation ultimately, to take out the ethanol.
Mm-hmm.
Is it clear? These are past paper questions I'm discussing. We have to make fractional distillation, right? To make sure that the ethanol is, and fractional distillation, because there's a mixture, right? Unreacted glucose. Suppose how much? 85 grams is unreacted, 15 grams of ethanol, percentage wise, I'm telling you, is mixed in it, and water is there. So you have to take out the ethanol by separating by fractional distillation. And fraction distillation takes what? Fraction distillation
Mm-hmm.
will be involving electricity, right? So see, burning of the coal, right? So this is very important. This cost of production is very, very high. And second, we have to think of the other parts, right? So everything in life also comes with the pluses and minuses, right? So this is very important, that yes, the advantages will be outweighing the disadvantages we are having in this biofuels we are using for this purpose sustainability, right? See, explain why ethanol based fuels are said to have lower carbon footprint than petroleum based fuels. So carbon footprint is what? Carbon footprint is the total amount of the greenhouse gases which is emitted in a system, right? In a process. You can write down this. What is carbon footprint? Carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases that is emitted in a system. So we now have to see that what we mean by carbon footprint. There's a very complex calculations which are there. It's not easy. It's not easy, that carbon footprint. Now, if you see that whenever we are talking about carbon footprint, what is the carbon footprint? Carbon footprint is the total amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. What are the other greenhouse gases we know? Greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor. These are the greenhouse gases we are having, right? Which is emitted over a full cycle or in a service or in a system, right? So carbon footprint is very important calculations, because you might be seeing that this is linked with sustainability portion. So carbon footprint calculations is very, very important. We have to know it's a complex calculation. It's not there are many parameters. So even all the airline industries, right? You might be seeing that carbon footprint is less. We might be seeing this ad that all the global because we have to save our mother earth. We have to save our mother earth. That's very important, because carbon dioxide level is increasing. That will be increasing the temperature of the earth. But or the all the glaciers will be getting melted, right? Sea levels will be rising. Incandescent storms will be there. So carbon footprint is very important for us to discuss over here. That carbon footprint in this biofuels, right, is very less. Why? Because same reason, carbon dioxide has to be emitted by any organic compound we are emitted. But we know that we are forced to grow many plants, because of the percentage yield is very less. So carbon dioxide will be getting absorbed. But whereas in the petrol, we don't have any forcing point to grow more plants, right, to convert to ethanol by fermentation, right? So that's a very important reason we have to see. This question is very important. Present the arguments of both advantages and disadvantages of the production of the biofuels, right? um, if you want to address this will be coming in exams, right? So we can go through this advantages and this but disadvantages process for this biofuels. So this was all about what? This was all about the critical part of what the biofuels. See, there's a summary. See, we are saying that the global biofuel production, see, it's increasing. It's increasing because the economy, world economy, is driven by the oil prices. The oil prices are there. Oil production countries are handful of countries which force other countries, right, to accept their buying of their crude oil. So see, so Asia Pacific. So it's a very important field we have to understand, right? Now see, now the biofuel production. So this graph will be might come in the paper number 1B, where you can understand that. So this was all about what? This was all about the biofuels, which is in IBDP chemistry, right? Thank you.